Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to try and fix this Xbox 360 that has the red ring of death on it. Usually this happens when the solder under one of either the GPU or the CPU chip in here, the solder breaks and it needs to basically be resoldered, or at least you need to reflow the solder underneath the chip. So we have a few things already out that we'll need. We'll need a heat gun. Ideally, you have one that's temperature controlled. Mine is kind of temperature controlled, but I can't really dial in the heat. So we'll see if I can get it done with just this without breaking it. And then you're going to need some flux, as well as some new thermal paste. You're going to need some isopropyl alcohol to clean off the old thermal paste. And then you'll need a tasty beverage to help you through the process. And then of course I got the wall of tools, because I know I'll need a screwdriver and probably a Torx bit and some punches as well. So let me crack into this thing. First thing we're going to do is get this faceplate off. So what I'll do is I'll unplug the Xbox at this point, and we're going to try and get this front cover off. Usually you can just kind of pry this off with your hands, and it comes off pretty easily. And the nice thing, these covers are worth about 20 bucks on eBay if all the springs work, because a lot of times these little hinges stop working and people want a replacement. So even if I can't get this Xbox working, I got 20 bucks right here that I can easily get back on eBay. And then hopefully there's a disc in this disk drive. I can't get it open even when it's powered on. So another good reason to take it apart. So the next step, we'll try and get the side covers off. And basically what you need is a push tool or a little pick. And there's little basically parts you can push down here. They're usually located kind of near where these, I don't know if you can see it here. You got to kind of find the right place to push in between where the dots are filled in. Let's see, I'm having a hard time here finding them. Let's see if we can get the right spot to push down. Let's see, did I get one there? Maybe. I'll put you guys on a time lapse while I try and figure this out. So I was able to get these off, as you can see there. Basically, you can see these little things poking through are on the other side of these holes here, and you push them, and sometimes it takes a little bit of effort and prying, but I was able to get everything out without breaking anything. And now I'm working on getting this top cover off. So what you usually do is you start with a clip here and a clip over on this side, but this clip broke off, which is not the end of the world. So I just got to make sure I don't break this clip off. So fortunately we lost that piece there. We'll just gently pull up on this here. Just to get a little tension on it. Let's see if I can get it. Kind of just wants to pop back down every time I pull up on that clip there. So what I'll do is, the other part of getting this top cover off is you go on the back side here. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's little indentions here on the back. And basically you just gently press in with a screwdriver, a small flathead, until you hear that clicking sound. Here's two more. Click, click. Just a little gentle click there. And I should be able to get this off now. We'll see. I'm going to hold up on that part there and just continue to see if I can get this released from the back. With those little clicks, they, I think, sometimes just click back in. This is probably the part where you want to be the most gentle with the case, because if you break any of these, it'll be really won't want to come together when you're done. So I got the clicks there, and I'm not sure if, oh, clicked back down. There. We'll see if we can pry this side up. Ooh, lost another piece there. So we're starting to get some movement. Unfortunately, this is just a really brittle plastic. It must have been stored out in the heat or in the garage or something for a long time. I still have the sticker on there. That might be the only thing holding me up, actually. And having the sticker on there is a good sign because it means no one has been inside there before. Let me just peel the sticker back. The sticker is kind of caked down here as well. Let me see if I can just kind of break the seal here. Okay, and there's like a hidden clip I didn't know about underneath the sticker. So there you go. I think that not all Xbox models have that one clip there. And I've never done this before, so I didn't know to look for that. So that clip's undone. And I think this clip on the side here is also kind of holding me up. Ooh, that broke. All right. So we're pretty close here. We just need to get the back part off again, which might be easier now that we're get the front part off. So let me put you guys back on the time lapse while I figure this out. Okay, so with a lot of effort and breaking a few of the clips, I was able to get that off. But I think I left enough of them intact that I'll be able to put it back together just fine. I kind of have a pile of plastic going. It's kind of my death pile over here. Add a few little things over there. But hopefully that was the hardest part. But now we got to get all these screws off so we can get this top cover off. So I'll put you guys back on a time lapse for that. I think there's a lot of different configurations for this cover. Of course, this is one of the older Xboxes, I believe. So I'll let you know if there's any problems getting this off, and you'll be able to watch on the time lapse, and we'll see how we do. Okay, so I got most of the screws out. You leave these black ones on for now. You can flip it over. The next step is to get this button off here. And hopefully it should just lift off. This is a piece I don't want to break, if I can help it. There you go. It just lifts off there. And then you pull back this little silver sticker here. And we should be able to get this top part off now. There you go. And sometimes this kind of heat shield will come off. It's kind of interesting. You can see some discoloration here. Not sure if that's from how hot it got or whatnot, but we'll put this over to the side and we'll clean it later. Here's our first look inside the Xbox. You can see a lot of dust on that heatsink there. You can see this is our disk drive. This is just a little fan shield. So let's see if we can get our disk drive out now. So this lifts up and there's two cables on the back that you just disconnect. And you just kind of pull them from the base here, not by the wires. There's one cable. Here's the other cable. And we're going to have to open this up and clean it and get a good look at it and see if there's a disc inside there. We'll do that in a minute. The next thing we can do is see if we can get this little fan shield off here. And there's just this one clip here. So we'll see if we can get it. There you go. We will also clean that. Then the next thing we need to do is get these fans out. There's a little connector over here you pull out. See if we can get it. There it goes, right there. And then a couple clips over here. And there goes the fans. And again, like everything else here, very dusty. We will clean those. And then we need to take off this white piece here that covers the power button. And you'll see these three screws which need to come out. Not sure which. These may be T5s. These screws on the back, by the way, were T6, but not these black ones here. So let me figure out what screw that is, and I'll get back with you guys. So I think these are T8s. So let me take these out now. Yep, and they're coming out nicely. So I'm going to take these out and the ones on the back, and hopefully we can get this board out of here. Alright, so I got the three screws off in the front, and then this piece just slides out. And then I also took the 6 screws, or 8 screws off back here, put them over there. So now we can hopefully just take this out without too much effort. seem to, when I turn it upside down like that, I seem to get most of it out. And there we go. We got the motherboard out. We'll put this aside so that we can wash it off. So at this point, I'm going to take these two cables out. These go to the CD drive. Let me see if I can get this one out here. There you go. That one pulled out just fine. Let's see if I can pull this one out. Both of these are being a little bit stubborn. Got that one out. And the next step is to get these two heat sinks off. Flip it over. And now you have to take these X clips off. Hopefully, some people say these are kind of difficult. I'm going to pry it up here on the corner. I think I got that one off. And I think most people recommend doing one side and then the other. And just taking your time with it. So far this one came off fairly easy. I'm having a harder time with the other corners. You do want to be careful not to scratch the board. So I'll put you guys on a time lapse while I do the rest of this. Okay, so we're getting our first look at the GPU and the CPU. I forget which one is which. Those are what those chips are underneath. And the heat sinks just sit on top of them. Like that. And we got them. Once you get those little clips off, these X-Men clips. So most of the thermal paste looks like it's pretty much worn off, which is probably why this is overheating. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get isopropyl alcohol and clean this off real good. And then we'll put the flux around the corners and we'll heat up the whole board while we're doing that. And hopefully that'll cause the solder to flow and reconnect any cold joints that may have cracked. So let's go ahead and do that now. So first I'm just going to do a light vacuuming of the whole board. That's already looking a lot better. Now I'm going to get a toothbrush with some isopropyl alcohol and clean up these chips and a few other spots on the board where I couldn't really get the dust off. And then I'll use a light scraping tool to kind of scrape off this old thermal paste, because you want to get all that off before you put the new thermal paste on. And we're going to want to get it off the back of these heat sinks as well. So I'll just put you guys on a time lapse for that. Alright, so I got the board nice and clean. Basically you want to get these top parts real as shiny as you can. So now I'm going to take this up and heat it up with my heat gun and put some new flux around the GPU and the CPU, and hopefully that'll get it working good. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up this disk drive, because it also is not working. So it's going to need a little maintenance, hopefully just some cleaning, and maybe we'll find a disk in there. So let's see. You kind of roll this top cover, just comes off. I believe we just take these screws off and hopefully that'll get this to come apart. We can get a look inside. There's screw number 1. Screw number 2. These look like I'm just using the whatever random Phillips head I had sitting in my screwdriver. Alright, there's 4 screws that down. Take the sticker off so it doesn't hold me up. Okay, good. So yeah, I think this sticker, see if I can scrape that off. Alright, moment of truth, hopefully. The bottom. The middle portion here. Struggling a little bit to get this off. Here, probably a bit easier on the side, or upside down even. There it is. Fortunately, no CD in there, or no game. But we'll work on that a little bit more later. I'm going to take this up to my stovetop where I know I can apply a good amount of heat to it without setting my workbench on fire. All right, we are up in my kitchen. I've got the board here on top of the Xbox. Kind of metal case that's on the inside on top of my stove. And I also have my vent hood here, so it works for a pretty good setup. So I got my heat gun. Basically, I'm going to start off by just heating the board on kind of a lower setting. Just kind of making a pass on the board. Just getting any cold solder joint. Kind of taken care of. And I won't spend too much time on the capacitors. Those don't need to be heated up too much. Mainly just the chips, and mainly just the GPU and the CPU, like we talked about earlier. But this will just help the board, if it's warped at all, get kind of heated back into place. Get the solder running across the board. Make a few more passes here. Now what we'll do is we'll put some flux kind of on the outsides here, around the edges of this GPU and CPU. And the main spot where it usually has problems is on the bottom here of this, I think this is the GPU chip. So you put a little bit of extra flux there. There we go. Getting the flux put on here. And sometimes these boards will have little kind of like glue or plastic pieces on the edges of the chips. Mine doesn't have that on there, but if you do have that on yours, you're going to want to take those off before you do this. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here on the chips, because we're just going to focus on heating those up during this part. Turn my vents on. Alright, so I'm just going to let this cool down for about an hour, and then we will give it a good cleaning again with some isopropyl alcohol, and then put the heat goo on the on the chips, and then we will get it reassembled and see if it works. Okay, we're back on the workbench. Now we're just going to clean this up real good with some more isopropyl alcohol. I'm using 91%. I think most people use the 99%, so hopefully it doesn't mess anything up. That's what I had on hand. So we'll take the board here and I'll just give it a good clean again before we put the thermal paste back on here. Get these chips nice and shiny. I definitely have a lot of extra kind of flux on the board now. I didn't see really any good instructions on what to do about that. So if you have any info, go ahead and leave them in the comments. But I suspect that's not a bad thing to have some extra flux on here, because as the board heats up when we're using it, that'll just help kind of everything, kind of fix any cold solder joints that may develop over time. Good. All right, we're gonna let that dry, and then we'll put on our thermal paste. Everything's dry now, so we're gonna go ahead and put our thermal paste on. Have the smallest bottle of thermal paste you could possibly get. I'm just using Thermal Grizzly. I guess all this recommended on another YouTube video, that's why I picked it up. So just a dot is fine. I'm gonna start. Do this one first. You don't want to put too much thermal paste on, because then it'll not work as well, essentially. And then, so it's kind of like too little, it won't work as good. Too much, it won't work as good. And supposedly the clips go on easier than they come off. That one went on pretty easy. Do the same thing with this one. Dot thermal paste. And sometimes they have like thermal pads you can put on these. I've seen on other systems. This model didn't have those on there originally. If I had any on hand, I would probably put them on, but I don't have any on hand currently. So we're just going to keep it factory. Let's see if we can get this clip on. There you go. That went on pretty easy as well. All right, so now I'm just going to reassemble this. I'll put you guys on a time lapse for that. The CD drive, I don't think there's anything actually wrong with it. I think it just wouldn't open up because of the red light of death. So I think now that we fixed that, hopefully we won't have to do much with it. But let me put you guys on a time lapse and we'll get this thing put back together and we'll see if it works. Okay guys, we got to a point here in our reassembly where we can test it out. I would at least get the fan hooked up and the CD drive hooked up and get to this point basically before you try and turn it on. Let's go ahead and see. Nice. So no red lights. Let's see if our CD-ROM works. So I'd say that's a success. Let's see if we can get basically the case back on, even though we cracked some of the pieces. Let's see if we can get it looking pretty good. Got all the side pieces back on. Unfortunately, forgot to put those screws in. So I'm going to put those in now.